Hello guys, welcome to another video of Short is Better. Today I have for you modification video and I received another order from Kevin. He wanted this Pagani Design tuner with this beautiful yellow dial and set of hands, gonna show you a bit later. So yeah, I'm gonna try to swap these dials, keep the original chapter ring from here and change the hands as well. Let's see how it's gonna turn out. Orange, black, silver. Let's see. I'm gonna skip most of the parts so you don't get bored and stop only on something important that I think you should know if you want to modify your watch. Okay, here you go. Open the case. The next step, we have to remove the crown. For that, one more time reminder, when you remove the crown in NH35 movement, make sure it's in a neutral position just like this, don't pull it yet. Then you have to press and hold on this tiny spot here and pull the crown out at the same time. That's how it looks like. Press and hold, pull it out. Very easy. Don't press it too hard, it really doesn't require much force. And then the moment holder, the way I do it, I just lift it up gently from every side, and this way usually the movement still stays inside the holder. Then flip it over. Just like that. Here you go, beautiful Pagani black dial, really nice dial. But we're gonna change it. Put the crown back in the movement. So the first step, we have to set all the hands together in one position. About this. Then don't forget to protect your dial from scratches. Even though I'm not planning to use this dial anymore. Very easy to remove the hands. Doesn't require much power too. We will have to use this chapter ring on the new dial, because this dial is, I think, about 31 millimeters, including the chapter ring, but the one I'm gonna change is only 28. So let's see if it's gonna work. So right now we don't need the movement. The next step, we will have to try to remove this chapter ring from this dial. You can see it sits on glue on 4 points. I used to do it before. It shouldn't be hard, but let's see. Find a small gap, just like that. We don't need the dial anymore. Here we have small pins, we're gonna clean it a little bit later. But first, let's measure if it suits our dial. I really hope it does. So it's gonna be something like this. It is going, you cannot see it because the shadow from the window, but from my perspective it looks good. It looks good. Plus hands. I'm gonna be using these hands as ordered with the red second hand. Okay, let's keep working. So the next step, I will put this chapter ring on this dial. So before that, clean these pins, and first I'll use dial dots just to secure the chapter ring correctly on the dial, and then probably I will use more glue to make sure it doesn't move at all. But only after I secure the chapter ring and I know that it's centered perfectly, and I can then use more glue. Okay, the chapter ring is ready, and now I'll try to put these dial dots. And from my experience, what I've learned, if I use the dial dots, make sure when you put them, make sure you don't put it too close to the inner side. Otherwise the glue from these dots may come out when you press it harder. I think 4 more than enough, because I think I'm gonna use more glue afterwards. The next step is hard, so basically I have to put it at the top of the dial, but I'll do it aside the camera because I want to see better and make sure it aligned properly. So please wait a second. Beautiful. So actually it is already, see, it's pretty good, as you can see. There is no gap between, but still I'm gonna apply a little bit glue around to make sure it doesn't go anywhere while I modify it. So I'll be using super glue, and please don't do this. Don't use super glue for your dials because it's extremely dangerous, very easy to damage. But I already have some experience damaging a few dials, and I've learned something. I think I can manage it. So I'm gonna put the glue on 4 points, exactly where I put the dial dots, and in that way the glue will not get in under the chapter ring and appear on the dial. Well, that's my plan. Let's see if that works. And this is the way I apply the glue. So basically I put it first on some paper or plastic, just half drop. We don't need it much. And then I'll use a needle, get really little bit of glue. We don't need it much. Again, we don't need much glue, and very carefully apply it from the side. If you see there is like a small drop on the needle, that's too much glue. Don't try to make it fast, otherwise you will see this glue on the dial. You don't want that. And now I see that the glue started to dry. It became a little bit more sticky, kind of like a jelly substance. That's what we need. It is much easier to apply on the dial, and I'm kind of sure that it will not get under the chapter ring. Just perfect substance. Okay, so I applied 2 rounds So twice on each spot, and now we need some time to let it dry because we're not connecting basically 2 points. We apply the glue from outside, so it takes longer time to dry. Okay, it's been a few minutes. It's dry completely right now, and it is ready for the next step. If you already modify watches and you are not sure how sticky are these dots, so I can assure you that this was made for exactly this purpose, for sticking dial. And I can tell you that these dots are pretty good. They're really sticky, and once you stick your dial, it's really hard to remove it. So I think this is the sign that it works when it is really hard to remove it. That's why when you put the dial first time, make sure you don't press it hard. Just measure it first. Okay, it's done. So you can see I put five dial dots. It should be more, way more than enough, but usually I do 4, but 5 still okay. Just want to make sure the dial will not move at all. And right now, basically you put the dial back on the movement, but make sure the lighting is good. There are no shadows, so you can center it properly. For this purpose, I'm gonna move it aside the camera so I can see better. Just like this. One hint: when you put the dial on the dial dots, make sure that the source of the light is from the side. In this way, it will not make the shadow like you can see the shadow right now when the window in front of me, and it's kind of confusing to center it properly, but when the light is from the side, there are no shadows on the bottom or the top of the number, and you can see exactly how you're supposed to put it. So as you can see in this example, everything looks perfect now. The date aligned perfectly. Now it is the time to set the hands. Go to midnight. When you see the date changing, you go very slowly. Okay, so this is the midnight and we have to put the first hour hand. And this is the set I'm gonna use in this mode. Actually, I would like to use these golden hands. I think it would look really cool on this dial, but I've got an order for these hands. Probably I'll need to confirm one more time because I really think that this golden will look so much better. Okay, it's a new day, let's continue. I've got a confirmation from my customer. He chose this set of hands and I think this set will match it perfectly. Still insisted on the red second hand, but as you can see, these hands have the same color of the loom with the dial, so I think I think this is the best option. And today, right now, it's morning, very sunny, you can see the shadows, but I don't really have many options. I have to finish the day because I'm going for a long holiday far from the city, so yeah, I want to finish everything today before I go. So again, let's adjust the time to midnight. Done. Already midnight and the date was changed. Perfect. Okay, let's keep it as it is. From the first try, very good. Okay, the first hand is ready. Now let's put a minute hand on. Don't push it too much, we just want to measure it. 9 o'clock looks perfect. And now take your time Take your time and check the alignment from the side carefully. That's probably the most time-consuming part of modifying, when you are checking if there is enough distance between hands, if they align properly. Okay, finally it is looking good. Once you make sure that minute hand and our hand are aligned properly and there is a distance between them, only then you put your second hand. Just like that, don't need to push it too much. This time check if the second hand doesn't touch your minute hand. I see I have a lot of space between, so I can push second hand a little bit lower. Okay, everything is perfect. So the next step will be cleaning the dial. Make sure there is no dust, whatever, at all. And only then we're gonna put it back in the case. Now I'm sure the dial is absolutely clean. Everything looks beautiful. Let's remove the crown again. You can see the effect of this glass. Pretty cool. Make sure you follow the markers on the bezel insert and chapter ring. Oops, yes, because I forgot to put in the movement holder first. Just like that. Nope, not like that. Because we have 4 o'clock crown position. So it should match this hole. Okay, right now I can say just like that. And put it back together. Now make sure it's centered properly before you put the crown back. I can see that I can move it a little bit to the side, just a half millimeters, and now it looks perfect. I know you want to close the case and try on your watch, but before that, before closing the case, first you can put the crown in first, yeah. The movement will not fall out the case, but anyway, I like to put it back. Okay, and now you clean the glass, get better light, and check carefully if there is something. Check very carefully. For me, everything looks great. Now I can try adjusting the time. Beautiful. It feels very smooth. It means that the crown in the right position and the movement in the case as well. Looking great. Okay, basically it's done. Now I'm gonna regulate the wheel, the balance wheel. I showed you before. Basically I use a app on the phone. It's not 100% accurate, but if I manage to get plus minus 1 second a day, then I'm sure even if it's in reality +3 or -3, it's still great result. So I'm pretty satisfied with this. And then I'm gonna apply the silicone grease. I get this one from China for the gasket to make sure that this watch still waterproof. And by the way, when I open this case, I don't see anything on this gasket. Looks like it's really dry, so we need to apply it more. Okay, I managed to balance it from from 1.4 bit error and plus 5 seconds a day to 0.1 bit error and minus 1 second a day, which is great. Very good result. And the next step, gonna apply the silicone on the gasket. I'm not applying it directly on the gasket, just on this sponge. Then you close it together, move it a bit, and it's ready. Just like that. And make sure that it wasn't twisted. Okay, looking great. And finally, we can close the watch. By the way, I love this turtle logo. Really cool one. Basically, it is ready. Absolutely beautiful combo. The bezel action, by the way, in this model is great compared to other Pagani Design watches. This bezel action is really great. There is a minimum backplay, you almost don't feel it. It's kind of tight, just perfect. I think one of the best bezel action in Pagani Design watches. Here you can see the final result. Beautiful, beautiful dial. It reflects really in kind of unique way in the sunlight, as you can see. NH35 movement, sapphire glass, ceramic bezel, 300 meters waterproof. What else? And of course, stainless steel bracelet and the case. Here you can see it a little bit better. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video as well, and see you in my future episodes.